Welcome to From Here to There, a podcast brought to you by Formidable grooming products. My name's Paddy and I'm joined by my co-host Sam. And today we have Henry from Gents Barbershop down in Queenstown. Thanks for joining us, Henry.
Thanks for having me, boys. How are we?
Good, thanks.
Good, man.
Very good.
Very good. Excited to talk to you, bro. In this podcast, bro, we tend to talk to people that we see as like industry leaders or people that are kind of, experience rapid growth, changing the game, that kind of stuff. And like when we came across you guys, it was a no-brainer for us. We wanted to chat to you because Gents has gone through what seems to be like a big transformation in the last couple of years. But maybe a good place to start is just giving us a bit of background on you and how you entered the industry, and then obviously into Gents and from there on.
Yeah, awesome. So myself, I've been in the barber industry for nearly 15 years now. I started in the UK. Back 15 years ago, there wasn't really the industry wasn't really around like it is now for barbering. So I actually had to venture into hairdressing. I've done the old school 2-year apprenticeship, washing old ladies' hair and making cups of coffee for 2 years. It's a pretty good time, learned a lot. And sort of coming out of my apprenticeship, jumped into the barber industry. I was very fortunate that I had a good friend of mine that had his own shop, and he sort of took me under his wing. And the barber industry I hit the curve at the right time, and it's sort of elevated and it's growing and growing and growing. And I stayed in the UK for maybe 18 months before I set sail, and I sort of wanted to leave the UK and wanted to find better things. And so I left when I was 19 years old, and I'd done about 8 years worth of just pure traveling and learning from different cultures, different places around the world, and cutting hair all over the place, to be honest. I've cut hair in some crazy places. And what eventually brought me to New Zealand, to be honest. I came to New Zealand to snowboard off the back of being in Australia. I had no intention at all to stay in New Zealand. Didn't have really much expectation of what New Zealand would offer me, and came here and was blown away. Queenstown's a special place. Has definitely a soft spot in my heart. And after about 2 years of being here, I had the opportunity to apply for my residency and thought I'd just take it. And I applied for it. And about a year after that, the two owners that had Gents before myself, they were looking to part ways and looking to go and chase different ventures. And I happened to be in the right place at the right time. So within about two-month period, my partner, she had an unexpected pregnancy. I bought a business and I bought a house within 2 months. So it hit me like a train. My life changed rapidly. And after I bought the business, within 2 weeks, we had COVID. So we went straight into a COVID lockdown. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot in that time, and gave me a lot of time to sort of get my head around the business aspects of things. And that sort of brought me to the growth of the business now. We've been 4 years in to Gents, and we went to our second store and just opened up our Gents Academy as well. So it's going good. Can't complain at all, boys. Can't complain.
That's huge. We want to touch on all those different ventures as well in terms of hitting a second location, and plus the academy side of things as well, Henry. But when it comes to sort of that patience, I suppose, in your career, like you said, you started off hairdressing and then ventured into the barbering side of things. And sometimes, like you say, it's right time, right place. Without that travel, without the experience of being behind multiple chairs, you maybe wouldn't have fallen into the right place at the right time and sort of evaluating that scenario and jumping at it. Would you say?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I do believe in the law of attraction. I think that if you do manifest these things wherever you're meant to be, I mean, there's never in a million years till I think I'd purchase a business. I always knew I'd own a business. Didn't realize it would be at this capacity of buying one. So, but again, I think the law of attraction, I wanted to live outside the UK. I wanted to own a business, and it did just so happen to fall on my lap. But I do think at the same time, it's a lot of luck, but you do have to be putting yourself out there in the right place to get them positions as well. So I think it's a good 50-50 balance, to be fair. But luck there's a large part to play in it.
How did the growth go, Henry? Like, obviously, okay, so you landed at Gents. started there, and did things just take off? Did you guys have were you an overnight success, or did it take a few years to kind of get to that point?
Not at all.
Yeah.
So when we first came to Queenstown, when we first opened, I just again, a lot of luck, a lot of right place, right time. When I landed in Queenstown, the shop had literally opened that month. And the guy that owned it before myself, he has no idea about cutting hair. So he's an entrepreneur, sort of businessman, and has a couple of successful businesses back in the UK. So for me to come in, I had the sort of skill set to take it on as a barbershop. Initially, Gents was actually started as a e-commerce business. So we used to sort of buy and sell retail products, hardware, all sort of men's grooming essentials across New Zealand. And someone had mentioned to him and said, why don't you put a barber in the shop? And I happened to sort of stumble along the shop at the right time, and I jumped in as the first barber, or I was the second barber actually. And I was there, I think, I remember days where, we'd do 3 haircuts a day, or, you would just be sitting around sort of cleaning, lots and lots of cleaning until someone came across. But we were very fortunate that the business owner before myself was a web developer, and he had a lot of background knowledge into scaling businesses, and he worked a lot on the SEO side and a lot on the web development. So that sort of propelled us into the right area, and then it was down to us for our skill set to sort of have that client retention and slowly grow it, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, love that, bro. So over time, how long would you say it took to really get to that scale where we're like, oh my gosh, not only is our store busy, but like even contemplating expanding?
Yeah, I mean, even when I bought the business nearly 4 years ago now, we were only 2 staff, 3 including myself. So even at that point, I was lucky enough. I've worked in some really, really top barbershops around the world, a lot of startup businesses as well. So for myself, I saw a lot of potential in it, because there wasn't much in Queenstown at the time for premium services, and we offered a sort of tailored experience with the liquor license for the bar. We were one of many that have that, and it's like, we had a pretty unique sort of style of how we commit to our service. So again, when I bought it, we were just 2 staff. We're now at, I think, 9 of us now, and we've got 2 venues. So it was only really when I bought the business I saw potential that we could just Groundhog Day, just get your head down, do as best as you can every day, and bring in the right team members. And that was really the sort of just natural growth of it.
That's and that natural progression of, we can see now that you've got the other store there in Frankton, and obviously with the academy starting up and doing really well as well, Henry. Like, I think people think that's a overnight thing, and like you just mentioned there, it's a matter of just taking care of the things that you're really good at. And I can imagine in that tight-knit group that you had initially, where there's 2 staff and just yourself, it's a matter of just doing the basics really well, and that's the recipe for the growth of Gents, I can imagine.
100%. I mean, I was lucky that the guy I bought the business off stayed on as sort of a mentor for me, and he's been involved in a lot of businesses in the past, and I think that he said that like most businesses you're involved in every day, it feels like you're just slugging it. It's not really much, but when you do look behind in retrospect, there has been a great growth in the last 4 years, but every day does feel like Groundhog Day for sure. But it's just we're very fortunate that we love our jobs as well. I think that definitely helps turning up to work.
Are you, Henry? Are you cutting every day still? Are you on the floor every day, or are you sort of pulling back in certain areas? How do you approach sort of managing everything that's going on? I'm interested because I'm sure there's other business owners or aspiring business owners out there that have an idea of what it's like to be a barbershop owner, but may not quite understand the logistics day to day.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to lie to you, boys. It's fake it till you make it. Like I'm learning as I'm going as well. So for me, it's been a matter of this second shop is I've been a massive learning curve, understanding how to be a good manager, and I'm still going through that as we speak. So currently, I am an owner operator. I still like to work in the business 5 days a week cutting hair. I'm going through probably the next couple of months of tapering off the tools a little bit, but for me, and understanding my skill set, I'm very aware that when I come to work and I'm mentally, that tunes me in. So for me, I'm going to be still turning up to work 5 days a week. I may be doing a lot less hours than what I have been, but I get so much kick out of speaking to my clients. I'm fortunate that I speak to a lot of business owners. I get pretty much day-to-day mentoring off people that are business owners, and the way I'm very, I can ask a lot of questions, and I get a lot from that. So me turning up to work, I'm still 5 days a week on the tools, but I'm learning to taper off a little bit now, so I can sort of, get into doing things that I really want to do. Because it's challenging, like having a family and a business that it's a lot of pressure. It's not a 9 to 5 thing to do. You take your work home and it's constant. So definitely one of the things I'm still learning, and I'm not great at it now, is time management for sure. And you just learn as you go.
Totally. And I think there's some similarities as well, and I can attest to what you're saying as well, Henry, in terms of the fake it till you make it. It's such a juggling act in terms of figuring everything out and inspiring your crew and your group. And there's different locations, and there's also, I think, a lot of weight though with being on the floor. Like you say, you really enjoy being on the floor and setting that standard too. I think people, especially I can imagine the team that you have, they can all recognise the huge workload you have, but they also really appreciate and aspire to seeing you on the floor, looking after the customers day in, day out, and really putting that Gents brand out there. And I think it's quite easy to think that if there's a bit going on, I'll withdraw right back, and that can almost have a bit of a harsher effect. I think with being on the floor and setting that standard day in, day out, that's the reason for your growth,
Yeah. I think definitely I definitely second that. I think that, when I'm here, we have got some great managers in place, some great senior people in place that when they are there, they do set the standard, and people do follow suit because of that. And I do love to be involved in that as much as possible. I'm just sussing out now my value outside the business, I think. So if I can sort of see fit my value outside, because it's easy for me to go, okay, I'm going to jump off the tools now and then go and play golf 5 days a week and actually not really concentrate on what I need to be doing. But for me now, I'm trying to dedicate my time into scaling the business from the back end rather than being an operator so much inside, for sure,
yeah. How do you approach staff, Henry? Because I know it's a challenge for many barbershop owners out there in terms of the recruitment, the training, the upskilling, hopefully looking for people with skills in management. It's a whole other arm to the business. Like, people get into this for cutting hair, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I'm good at that. And then when they transition to business ownership, it's like a just completely different skill set. What's your approach to staff, and what advice would you give to people listening that want to work at shops like Gents? What can they do?
Well, I think that there's no doubt as a business owner, managing staff or recruiting staff is by far one of the hardest things to do as a business owner. I think, like, for us, we're fortunate in some respects to be in Queenstown. It's a very marketable place. Queenstown's people want to live in Queenstown, so we're fortunate that our brand in Queenstown is a premium sort of experience, as premium service and a premium brand. We do get sort of quite skilled barbers apply for jobs for us, so we're fortunate in that aspect for sure. But actually, for me, if I was giving advice to business owners, for sure, it would be just have a reputable brand that people associate with. Because for myself, we've got a quite traditional sort of style brand, and people that come to us, we have, they like that old school traditional sort of sense brand. And if you have a really modern contemporary salon style, then people will sort of navigate towards that. And I think you will find people that it just attaches to them. And again, I think when the first 2 years of owning the business, oh my God, I'm pulling my hair out so much about trying to find staff. But in a weird way now, I'm just laid back that it will work out. It will some way work its way out. And we've managed to navigate through some tough times with staffing. And We've had a lot of turnover of teams, especially transient Queenstown, the way it is. But we've got a solid backbone now, and hopefully just keep growing from here.
How do you foster like those barbers that you see something in your team, you know, when they're just cutting and you see something in them as potential for like you're talking about management and stuff like that? How do you step them up? How do you help bring them along with you? That kind of thing, you know, because your business is only as good as your staff sometimes, right?
100%. Well, we do have a what for me is working in most barbershops that I've worked in for the last 15 years. You do feel sometimes that you are just a cog in the machine, and there really isn't any incentive for you to be there apart from making the business owner money. So what we've tried to do over the last couple of years is actually have a tiered system to sort of give these guys incentive to stay around and actually progress through the ranks. So we have the skill barber, senior barber, director, management, all in between that, and every sort of progression they get compensated for it. So for us, that's been key to hold staff on and actually give them incentive to stick around. But yeah, I think the key components in seeing an individual that can do these things is just seeing someone who can lead and actually setting the right example, turning up on time, not sitting around doing nothing, actually being busy, even if they've got 15, 20 minutes, helping the team out, making everyone's job a little bit easier. And it's just seeing that sort of mini leadership things that will sort of slowly progress them up the ranks.
I love the tier stuff. Could you tell us a little bit more about that? Like, how do you, because I guess like keeping staff excited, right, and motivated is the challenge, and that sounds like really cool. Like the idea that like in a corporate ladder where you can step up the different stages. How do you set the parameters for that? Do you have conversations with them and say, look, this is where you need to be able to step up?
Yeah, for sure. So we have like a monthly commission based on the back of Google reviews. We have a subscription basis with our clients here, and then we also have hair and product sales. So our guys are reviewed every month, and they see what sort of commission rank they're hitting. So we have 3 tiers, and every tier they get compensated for it. So we sort of do performance reviews anywhere between 3 and 6 months, and it's generally down on commission and their client retention. So if we're seeing these guys, our staff members who are fully booked day to day, they're hitting commission, you know, every single month, then that's when talks are being had, and then we can start moving them up the ranks. And these guys know that, you know, financially it's not an easy time to stick around, especially in Queenstown. It's really not cheap. So every single bit of financial compensation does help them sort of motivate them sticking around. And once they increase up the ranks, they also get compensated for, you know, their actual prices do increase as well. And in turn, their wages or their contractor compensation increases too.
I like that. Sam?
Just referencing like a template, I think is very helpful in having that structure. I think having something you can reference back as an employer, I think that puts you in the best position to stay consistent, but also be able to work with an individual and work through the climbing the ladder, if you will. And each comes with responsibility and a little bit more weight, but like you say, they're compensated for that, Henry. It's a great way of working.
100%. And to be honest, I think all of it just comes off the back of how I felt in the last 15 years working for barbershops. You know, when you work in a store that has not really much incentive to grow, you just stalemate, and you just want to. And that's why probably, you know, for 15 years I've jumped shops like anything, you know, and I've been lucky enough to learn from a lot of different people, but I've not really been given the incentive to stick around in a barbershop because you just feel like a cog, you know.
I love that. I mean, how do you foster team spirit and kind of that kind of thing? Because I know, like, looking from the outside, and I'm not a barber, but you're looking teams. It's a hard, physical, intense job at times, and I wonder how you, as the owner, as the guy at the top, how do you make sure that the culture and the team are kind of feeling like, I don't know, connected and that type of thing? How do you approach that with your team?
Yeah, well, ultimately, like, people are only going to want to come to work if they're enjoying it. That's the blunt end of it. Like, if people aren't enjoying coming to work, then they're not going to stick around. So implementing certain things that can definitely help them stick around. Like we always have big yearly Christmas parties, and we go full out on these ones as well. And I probably enjoy it more than the guys do. We also have, generally we're trying to implement now like monthly staff training. That will start as of next month actually. So we'll be doing some technical training, a little bit of service stuff, and maybe just some coffees and beers. That's okay. Really how we're trying to make it sort of some technical side, and obviously some more team bonding, team morale side as well. We've also just implemented a non-mandatory, voluntary sort of $10 a week. Everyone chucks it into a kitty. Then every quarter we can all go out and put it on a bar tab, or we can go and do an activity somewhere. And I think every quarter because what I've learned definitely in the last 12 weeks since opening the second store, that disconnection has been a little bit more clear having two separate locations. Some of these guys haven't seen the guys in town, and so we're trying to get that sort of locked in, like a more of a structured approach where every quarter everyone sort of comes in and meets and just has a couple of drinks or whatever. And I think that's really, really important. But yeah, ultimately it's just keeping people happy and keeping people progressive as well. Like that's a big part of the education thing. What we're doing now is trying to give people the sort of platform to grow technically as well.
I'd love to talk about the academy. Hey, Sam, do you have any questions with the academy for?
Well, I think the education side of things with you within the two stores, Henry, is a big factor to why you've gone down that academy route. But yeah, in terms of everything with the academy, I mean, it's so exciting. Hey, in the New Zealand barbering industry, maybe unlike America and the UK, we probably don't have too much down that path. We've got the really basic courses for barbers probably into the workforce. But yeah, just really a question on the whole academy. What are your plans? How's it been since starting, and where do you want it to head?
Sure. So, yeah, we are very much at our infancy of starting this business. So, for us, really, the reason we started it, and the reason we actually, myself and Tommy, who's my co-business partner on this one, are looking at trying to really kickstart an education industry across New Zealand, is because there really isn't something for me, what I can see, between going to do a cut above course or like an initial foundation course that will do like a 12-week intensive, and then you're a really experienced barber. There's no gap in the middle at all. And to go from being just come out of a qualified, and you would call it a certificate barber, does not necessarily mean that they're going to be fully booked every day straight into doing what they're going to be doing in 10 years when they do upskill. So we want to try and bridge that gap as much as we can and try and give people the platform to upskill. And along with that, we want to try and bring in international educators that, we're not saying that we're the best at cutting hair, we can do everything. We want to give people the opportunity to come down and see these great big international educators that go to Australia and they always miss New Zealand. And we want to bring them over here off the back of Australia. But I do really feel that, in New Zealand, we've got one thing that most places haven't got, and it is that community. Like, even for you guys to have me on this podcast is amazing, that you can just contact us and reach out. And even though we don't necessarily personally know each other, we know each other because of the industry. And it's such a small industry across New Zealand that community vibe is, I've never experienced that. I really haven't. So having that in New Zealand is so, so important. I think that's where having this education platform, reaching out and networking to all these barbershops, salons, maybe across New Zealand, it just gives them an opportunity.
Yeah, it's so exciting too. Like, as soon as obviously I saw it pop up, Henry, I was just like, perfect. And also just like fostering that community and fostering, I feel you could almost say it's not generation, but there's an area of like you could call it intermediate barber, and they might just lose a little bit of energy, and they've gone through that initial excitement of learning the craft and building a clientele, and then it's like, okay, well, I'm obviously a little bit off I don't know whether they want to do their own thing or even becoming a senior barber. And like you want to keep shocking the nervous system a little bit in terms of that education and being involved in something. And I know for a fact I've had multiple of my team reach out and sort of say how excited they are with what you're doing, and I just think it's just awesome, bro. I just think it's such a big leap forward, and like you say, the community's small and everyone's totally behind what you're doing, and I just think it's going to be huge. It's great.
And I've definitely felt that support as well, and that is something that, you know, for us is huge. Like, to have that sort of support from the industry as well, from everywhere, it's been unbelievable. Like, it really has, and again it's such an infant stage of where we can sort of look to scale this. And for us, honestly, there is little to no money in the education industry. It's nothing about money at all. It is ultimately just giving back to people and giving people a platform. Working in Europe, you've got so much resources to like go to down the road, and you can be in an education course there, or you can go and do a one-to-one with someone up in, you know, an hour away, and it just haven't got that opportunity here. So we want to just give something back to the barbering industry community and give them an option.
Henry, for those who haven't heard about it, or like me who don't know,
Sure.
What's the platform itself? Like, is it are you doing it predominantly online? Is it face to face? What's the platform that you're building?
So essentially for this year, we're running 4 workshops. So we've just had our first one, and that was last 2 weekends ago now. So we had an international educator from Italy come over, and he did a 2-day workshop. And generally it was precision cutting, simplified, to, you know, really understanding the fundamentals as like head shapes, core shapes, elevation, a lot of the values that you can take on from learning this 2-day workshop, and it propel you into the next sort of area of you're going into like a day-to-day salon life. So that was our first one. We have another 2, one I can't say too much about, but in the back end of the year, we've got someone big looking to come down, hopefully November time. And then I think in the middle, in the next month or so, we're looking at really starting to get a base for bringing some aspiring barbers through as well. So myself and Tommy have seen, I don't know if you see it up where you guys are, that so many kids are cutting their mate's hair and they absolute butcher jobs, and fair play to them, you know, like you got to start somewhere. But we want to give them sort of a good foundation skill set where you can say, listen, jump on this course, whether it be a shorter block course, or we're looking to extend it up to 6 months and come in after hours, 2 hours a week, or we do Sundays, whatever it may be. We're sort of structuring it now that we can give something back to aspiring barbers to give them a look at, you know, a barbering career for them down the line.
Yeah, man, that's so cool. So it's like from the beginning to the end, like sort of taking them on a journey, So cool. Absolutely. And so being sort of like just at the beginning, I guess you can be responsive, right? Like if certain things people want, you can bring them on board. You can do physical tutorials. You might be able to do some stuff online. Who knows, eh? Like, are you sort of open to different
100%
ways of delivery?
Yeah, 100%. We're going to have to learn to be dynamic as well in our approach, because, you know, we definitely understand being in Queenstown, it's not a cheap flight, neither is it cheap accommodation. So, like, we definitely understand that having like a workshop here, for example, where people can attend 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 5 day courses, you know, that's great. But there's a lot of people out there in the industry that can't necessarily afford to do that. So we're also open to going out and teaching at barbershops too. You know, we're happy to do breakdown workshops. We're happy to do longer course workshops. But again, this is really just us putting the feelers out there. We've had great feedback so far. We've had some really recognizable international educators contact us about it, because New Zealand is untouched in the education market at the moment. And I think there's just so much more lead to be taken on there.
Yeah, I can even see as well with it growing as well, Henry, I can see even whole stores sort of wanting you to come in.
Yes.
I can imagine there's
100%.
gonna be stores all over New Zealand. Even if they're listening, or if they get a snippet of this, I can see
they could host.
of course, or they could say, "Hey, gents, we want you to come and really upskill our staff. Have a cool weekend with them. We'll do all the fun stuff, and we'd love for you to come and bring all your skills to sort of take them all through it." I think, it'd be a great way of sort of delivering a little bit more upskilling.
Yeah, 100%. And again, like I said, I think that. So, like, for a perfect example, Tommy, who's my business partner on this one, he worked with us for probably a year and a half, and I actually was teaching him and through an apprenticeship. So he worked for us for a year and a half. He had to go back to the UK for personal reasons, and he went back, and he was there for probably, I want to say, about 10 months. And the resources he got there, and he heavily invested into himself by doing multiple courses from different areas, different skill sets. And he's come back, January this year. And honestly, I can't believe the transformation that what I was teaching him to now Tommy's come on board and he's teaching me. Some of the stuff now that he knows, and his understanding about cutting hair and the kinetics and everything about it is unbelievable. So having that sort of experience from Europe, Tommy wants to come in and sort of project that onto the New Zealand industry and show them as much as he's learned.
So cool.
Very cool, man.
It's huge.
I just wanted to sort of finish maybe, like I talked to it a little bit before, but like, I think there's a lot of young barbers or barbers early in the industry out there, and they really want to know what they can do to work in like the big shops, because, like they might be doing their apprenticeship as a little corner barbershop or something, but they have aspirations for, coming to a place like Gents. And I really want to see if you could give some advice or some, direction to those people out there, those sort of early in the stage, and what should they be working on, and what sort of, because I think sometimes maybe the focus isn't quite right with some young barbers. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, the age has changed from when I first started in the barbering industry. There wasn't YouTube, wasn't TikTok, and there wasn't all this Instagram stuff back then as well. So I was a very self-taught barber. There's a lot out there now online, good or bad, for you to take on board. But ultimately, I would say to like a young barber aspiring to work in top barbershops, then you need to invest into yourself, whether that's time, money, or, wherever. You need to just invest into yourself. And it comes at a cost, because, investing into yourself, regardless of the matter, like there's always going to be spitting out the back end, lack of time for yourself. There's going to be these things. And I think for myself, the way I've sort of gone about my last 15 years, if you don't ask, you don't get. You really do have to, if you like the look of a barbershop and you don't feel like you're fit for them, just ask. It's not going to hurt to ask. What's the worst that can happen? If there's an opportunity that you feel like you're fit for, just ask. If you feel like you need a promotion at work, just speak to your employer. There's these sorts of things like that I think that, Kiwis are very, very laid back, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that's why I live here. But if you don't ask, you don't get, and you've got to put yourself out there for sure.
I love that, because and also as an owner, you'd love. Isn't there anything better than someone coming in hungry, like sort of like, I want you to pick me kind of thing? Like it's like it makes your job not easy, 100%. But like it's kind of like, oh wow, like it's cool to see that initiative.
Yeah, 100%.
And I know a lot of people are sort of unsure out there, especially when you're young. You sort of. You're not sure about yourself and that kind of thing. Confidence maybe not the high, but I do love that advice. Like just put yourself out there. What's the worst can happen? They say no, and you try another one.
Yeah,
exactly right. And we've had. I even brings me back to the story. We've got a guy working for us at the moment called Fabrizio. He's Argentinian, and he's a young guy, been in the industry when he came to us probably only 2 years or so. And generally, like when we put our job trying to find people for recruitment and we put out adverts, we always say 3 years really at minimum. But this gentleman walks into the Queenstown store, very well dressed, real smart, shook my hand and he goes, listen, I want an opportunity to work here. And like for me, that shows more than anything. Like just being able to come in off the street, shake hands with the owner and say, listen, I want an opportunity. and we had to do a trial with him, done a test with him. And honestly, like as far as like his execution for a haircut, it's not what we would ideally look for. But his character, his understanding of the foundations, we can build on that. And I think that's something that story there alone for me is enough to say that why can't anyone do that, you know?
I love that. And teachability, right? Do you see that in people
100%.
when you see them? You're like, oh, actually, I can teach. Some people are harder to teach than others, right?
Yeah. And to be honest, I'm definitely one of those people, like 15 years working in the industry, being self-taught. I'm probably the worst person on planet Earth to be taught new skills. I'm definitely learning now, but like someone who has, you know, not long recently qualified or has a great understanding of the foundations, there's so much more teachable, and that the growth in these people, you can see so much more. So that's when we see like young barbers or aspiring barbers who are extremely passionate, great characters. They're ideal, great ideal people to bring on board.
Love that. Sammy, any last questions?
I would say it's a little bit away from that subject, but obviously just wanted to touch on with what we do, Henry, for Formidable, the product side of things. Obviously, you mentioned in the breakdown of the performance with your staff, a lot of that sometimes can be in retail. I've learnt throughout the years as well that just how important retail sales on top of your services can be. We've obviously I've gone through that transition with obviously being in a barbershop, but also now with Formidable. It's been great just seeing these businesses sell product, but also take that area of the business seriously. I think it might be a little bit of a put to the side avenue of revenue for barbers. So essentially just wanted to ask your stance on it in the stores, and obviously as well sort of how you work with training staff on that, and sort of getting behind brands that you really believe in, and it makes, I can imagine, the job easier to pass it on to customers.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, from my understanding, working in the service industry for multiple different barbershops, you know, that sort of hair and product sales, you know, skin sales, whatever it may be, all the retail side generally for like the service industry will make up 15 to 20% of your revenue a year. So it's a big portion. You know, it's actually going to, that little bit, and if you can increase that an extra 5%, that makes, again, such a massive bit of growth. So for us, like our incentive for our guys to actually sell products is financial incentive. They actually do get kickbacks from that. But to be honest, one of the things that we've noticed more than anything in New Zealand, and like for you guys that having a homegrown Kiwi, like locally sourced brand, they are the easiest things in the world to sell because people love Kiwi products. In New Zealand, like it's one of the, I've never seen that in my career anywhere, but like working in New Zealand, people just buy into their own home source products. And if some of the products that, you know, that are locally sourced, they're unbelievable products, like absolutely. And you guys, I've tried your products, tested them, and they are great products, amazing brand. So it's just getting the barbers, like every single barber individually is going to have a product that they like more than the other one.
Yes.
And generally what you'll find is that, you know, this barber loves this product and he will sell that through thick and thin easily.
Yeah.
And I think the easiest way to sell a product is literally finish the haircut, get him to test it, get him to smell it, get him to try it in every single facet. And generally, like more often than not, once they've actually dipped their finger in it and smelled it and tried it in the hair, I think like majority do purchase that product. So I think that it's just
sells itself,
immersing the customer or the client into that product experience as much as possible.
I like that. Like you don't even need to sell it. If I think also customers, I don't know, because I've been on the other end of the chair. Like I've been in the chair, and I think I can tell when a barber believes in something they're selling, rather than like what you're saying, and it will change from barber to barber. Rather than being told to sell something, you know what I mean? Like there's a difference there. And so I think sometimes we miss the mark and sort of tell people, well, you need to sell this, like kind of like drive it into them, rather than saying, find something that you love and that you're passionate about and that you want to sell. And then it will benefit not only the store, but yourself with kickbacks. I like that incentive. I don't think enough barbershops are doing that. From what I hear, like they're sort of assuming that barbers will just get on board with it and do it out of love, maybe. I don't know. It's kind of but everyone stands to benefit. I think the barber and the shop, right?
And I don't know if you can tell, Monaghan's there, that the vast majority of your clients who come in, let's say it's their first experience coming into Monaghan's, and they come in and you ask them what product they use, 80-90% of the time it's a crappy supermarket product that's oil-based, full of crap, takes 3 times to wash out the hair, and it's rubbish. So even if we always sort of look at it, it's like you may spend 20-30% more, the product lasts longer, the quality is 10 times better, and the actual style, the ultimate style that you're looking to finish your hair with, it's just going to be so much better for you. And again, like you said, for me, it's not a tough sell, because it's a fact that your products or the general sort of barber manufactured products are better than the superstore products that you'll see. It's just a fact.
And then they just have to experience it, right? Once they experience it, they get it.
Yeah, and I like that whole immersion though, Henry. You're really working, making that whole last portion of the haircut, last portion of the service about styling. Majority of men don't know even how to style hair. So it might be about the product, but it might actually just be about the way it's done. Add some volume, use a hairdryer and get a strong base before you apply whatever it may be that you're putting in. And sometimes that alone can just have somebody go, well, you know what? Yeah, I'll pick some of that up. That would be great. Thank you.
100%. I think just having like an impact of the client, you can see the barber there and you can see that he's passionate about that particular product. Like, it's just an easy thing to get across. If you're passionate about a product, you're passionate about service, you're not selling anything. You're literally selling the dream 100%. More than anything, aren't you? And it's an easy sell, really, in that regard.
It's an alignment between your beliefs and the product. And when you get that alignment, it's effortless, right?
100%.
Bro, we won't hold you up much longer, but we always finish with the rapid fire questions if you're keen for this. Basically, the rules are simple. You need to tell us the first word, thing, product, idea that comes to your mind for each of the following prompts. So some are questions, some are concepts or words. No need to think too hard, but just whatever first comes to mind. You keen for it?
Go for it, mate.
All right, bro. First one, a style of cut that you most enjoy doing.
Medium length scissor cut.
Nice. Best way to get more clients?
Word of mouth.
Love it. Your secret barber tool?
Feather razor.
Something most barbers need to work on?
Scissor precision, scissor work for sure. Scissor work, yeah.
Scissor work. A secret or unconventional technique that you swear by? Spill your secrets, man. Come on.
Break and touch contact when you meet your first client, always. So like always touch them on the shoulders. Break that touch contact.
Yep.
Nice. Best icebreaker question to get people talking. I think, like the social aspect of barbering sometimes underestimated. How do you get people talking?
Compliment them on their clothes or compliment them on their look.
Like that. Bro, it's been an awesome chat, man. And we really appreciate your time and helping us understand that your journey in barbering and the Gents story, man. I think there's a lot in there for people of different levels, business owners, new barbers, everyone. So, massive thanks to you, bro. And really appreciate your time.
No, thank you for having me, boys. It's been great. My first podcast I think I've ever sat on, so I've enjoyed it a lot.
Awesome.
Cheers, boys.
Oh, bro, you smashed it. Awesome, brother.
Appreciate it, Henry. Thanks, man.
No worries. Thank you very much, boys.